believe more than half of what all those people said, why, you're suckers. There's a lot of non-mentioned people that have done just as much, I think. And so we enjoyed the accolades, but we didn't get a single chance. For instance, my wife, everybody loves her, and they did back then. She has a history too. She's kind of likes publicity, and back when we first started these shows in the late 1950s, why she was always up front and everything, of course. And then, see, I'm getting old. I forgot what my point was here. So she got along, and we put in Music Man in 1963, which was interesting. We rehearsed most of 1963, and we put it on in November, and just a week before Kennedy was assassinated. And I hate to say it, but that was good luck for our theater, because they probably wouldn't have been there. Anyway, so she has done other interesting things that just a diva would do. She fell down in Washington, D.C. She was back there wandering around, I guess, and fell down some stairs and disabled herself with a leg, so she was on a wheelchair there too, just like this. And we opened the show, and she was still in a wheelchair directing, waving her arms and her mouth. So there's a history of that. Everything has its downs and ups. And fortunately, in her, why, more ups than downs. But then, there was other events along the way that never got mentioned. George Jackson, with that big board of all those shows, we'd like to condense that a little bit. We didn't involve ourselves in all those shows, probably only 2/3 of them. But people keep pulling that thing off the back of the program and say, wow, you did all that, and I think we were in grade school back in the beginning. So we tolerate the accolades and everything, but there is some downsides that I was going to have a whole bunch of them, but I do have a whole bunch of them, but I'm going to start here. They fired me from the choir here in this show. Dan fired me because I can't read very well. And but I got another number that I'd like to do. He plays piano too. If I can, we got the right then? What do we got on here? I don't. Yeah. It's all memorized, but that's to be pulled out. If I don't see her reach, I'm sorry for you. I got a terrible case on Sally with a laughing face. She takes the winter and makes it summer. Summer could take some lessons from her. Picture a tomboy in lace. That's Sally with the open mouth. Have you ever heard mission bells ringing? Well, she gives you the very same time. When she speaks, you would say it was singing. Just hear her say hello. I swear to heaven you can't resist her. Sorry for you, she has no sister. It's been my terrible time. my Sally with a laughing face. She even looks good just sitting down there eating. Wish she's done a fair amount of in her life. And this one here, I'll be back. This one is one of our favorite proteges. We had 4 of them. And his turned into a professional musician after we tried to discourage it back 25 years ago. He runs the Notre Dame choirs and symphony orchestra and a huge, well-known, nationally known glee club, men's glee club. He takes them on trips all over the world and everything. And he hates to leave the snakes and the rattles and South Bend to come back to California, but I detect that there's a change of mind there. I'm not sure. Anyway, back to Miss Sally. You know, I first met her back in college, and we were in the same wedding party. A mutual friend was getting married in about 1950, something like that. And we were both in this wedding party. She was going to sing. She was a soprano back then. She turned into a bass when she came out here and had to have changed. It really affected her voice, and so she was the lead singer in this wedding, but 3 or 4 years later, she was singing down here. Voice doesn't speak good for the doctors that did that. But anyway, I had met her briefly and was told her name. And but I looked at her and said, "Wow, pretty hot." And so I wanted to get more acquainted, and so we were in the back of one of these small vans driving down somewhere, and I was trying to think of something smooth to say. And I was an engineering student in Michigan, and they don't teach engineers how to talk to girls. That should be in the curriculum for technical people. Anyway, all I could think was, I knew her first name was Sally, but I didn't know what her last name is. I knew what it was, but I didn't want to tell anybody. And so I asked her very casually, "How do you spell your last name?" I thought that was not exposing my total ignorance, this part of it. And she looked at me and very sternly and said, "Smith." I didn't quite get into the program like that, but after I crawled out from under the seat there, it was an experience, and so I had to live with it, which I wound up doing. She, back during Music Man, she did she didn't like to be out of the light. And she was in Washington, D.C. Did I tell you this? And fell down the stairs. And, okay, I got that one. There's a whole bunch of others. I happen to have written down, as a matter of fact. I'm one of those aged types that I can't even remember what's in my pocket. Yeah. So she was directing Music Man at the very end of it, and turns out that with about 3 weeks to go, our leading man, Harold Hill, had to leave town. His office transferred him someplace, and he had to go. And so guess who filled in? Well, you got trouble, my friend, right here. Say trouble, right here in River City. Now, sure, I remember this and all that. So she was in a wheelchair, just like she is now, directing the dress rehearsals for Music Man. And we had 100 people in that cast. We go over the program, and it's amazing how that started the big part of the shows. Before that, we were trying to do things in here, but this didn't exist. The stage consisted of just one stage across there, back there, and Lyle Stoltenberg built those stairs for Sound of Music. Lyle, unfortunately, isn't with us anymore, but he built them. Those stairs actually are movable, but you can take them down if you want to. If you want to find somebody that'll do it. So she was directing while all this was going on, and in the political environment of the time, there was other factors too. Here's you know, I can't even read my own music. She does things with little children that sometimes shouldn't be mentioned these days. I don't know. She had this school, and Halloween would be a lot of fun because she dressed up like a witch, and she can play it very authentically. She's very good. So don't get in front of her on Halloween, but these kids would come to the door and ring and hand up the little card here and say, what do they use to get your candy out of them? Angel cake. Huh? No. Anyway, they come to the door, and she'd come out in her witch's costume, which, like I said, was very good, and go, ah! And be a witch, and would demand the candy that these kids already had. It was the other way around. We had a continuous machine going there, collecting candy from some kids and giving it back to later on. But in a witch costume, she really looks terrific. And it's... See, we had a rabbit. We did Harvey one year. Harvey, you know, features this classic.
I'm just seeing how long his list is.
You can tell she's one of us. Nagging all the time. She learned that from her mother. I'm responsible for Dan partially. I couldn't do anything about it. So that's the way that happened. So I'll let you back to your free drink. And I'm sure that's what brought everybody here. We don't give anything free around here. So thanks once again for coming, everybody. And it's a pleasure seeing people I haven't seen in a while. And rehashing old acquaintances and people that just came just to see this, and wish her she'll get good. Thank you.
Tony Bennett and me here.